Homework 12, Picturing Data, Video 5, Polygons. Excuse me while I clean up this little mess here. You might be thinking that's the same histogram from the previous video, and you would be correct, but I've made a minor adjustment to it for what's about to happen. I took the vertical axis and slid it over a little bit. You'll see why in a moment. The last type of picture that we're going to look at is called a polygon, and really it's just a follow-up to a histogram. To form a polygon, all you have to do is connect the midpoints of the tops of the bars in a histogram. For example, on this first bar, put a dot in the middle of the top. And the same one there, and there, and there, and there, and there. And connect them. Now there's a little bit more to it than that. And actually you can create a polygon independent of a bar graph. First, the little bit extra. And this is actually not consistent throughout the world of statistics. In the book that I'm teaching statistics from here at TJC, it does not require what I'm about to show you. In other books, they do. In some books, a polygon must start and end on the ground, on the horizontal axis. In other words, it needs to go over here and start at the end, start on the ground, and then go one more over and end on the ground. But where does it start, where does it end, and where are these midpoints? Well, to calculate the midpoint of each class, unfortunately, as I mentioned a moment ago, statistics is not consistent from author to author, professor to professor, and textbook to textbook. It's a very annoying thing about statistics, but I wasn't there when they made these decisions. For example, one of the inconsistencies is when you draw a polygon, must it start and end on the ground, or can it just live in the sky like this one? In a moment, I'm going to erase the bars so that you can just see the polygon on its own. But another inconsistency throughout the realm of statistics is how you calculate a midpoint for a class. And that's why I'm actually looking in the book right now to see how this author approaches calculating the midpoint. The midpoint is exactly what it sounds like. It's the middle of a class. But I've seen it calculated one of two ways. You average a class's endpoints, which to me makes sense, or you average one lower limit with the next one, which to me doesn't make as much sense. And I've just found on page 659 in the book that this author says to locate the midpoint, you average a class's limits. So for example, what number is in the middle of 1 and 5? Just average 1 and 5. 1 plus 5 divided by 2 is 6 divided by 2, which is 3. What's the midpoint for the next class? The average of 6 and 10. 6 plus 10 divided by 2, 16 divided by 2 is 8. And it won't take you long to pick up on a pattern. These appear to be increasing by 5, but let's confirm that with the next one. If we average 11 and 15, and I'm assuming everybody knows when I say average two numbers, that means add and divide by 2. 11 plus 15 is 26. 26 divided by 2 is 13. Confirming my suspicion that these are increasing by 5. So I think I'll just list the next ones. Add 5 to get 18. Add 5 to get 23. Add 5 one more time to get 28. You can almost think of this as plotting points on a graph a la algebra style. I'm going to erase the bars here and try to leave just the polygon. Without erasing the polygon, I may accidentally erase some of it, in which case I'll have to come back and fill it in. Okay, well, it's not going to be perfect, but my point is you can actually sketch a polygon without having to draw the histogram at the beginning. Because all you need to know are the coordinates of each point. For example, for the first class, the midpoint is over 3 and it's up 24. So from an algebra perspective, this point is 3, 24. What's the next point? Well, the next midpoint is 8, and the frequency is 23. So 8, 23. So above the number 3 is the point 3, 24. Above the number 8 is the point 8, 23. The next midpoint for the next class is over 13 up 15. And I guess you could generically say that each of these points is an ordered pair of the form midpoint, frequency. So we're just plotting these points and then connecting the dots. The next one is 18, 3. It's way down here. The next one is 23, 6. And then what looks like the last one is 28, 1. Give me a second to label these points on the horizontal axis. I keep wanting to call it the x-axis, but that reeks too much of algebra. Okay, so instead of listing all of the classes on the horizontal axis, you just list each class's midpoint and then raise it the correct frequency. But as I was mentioning in this particular book, the author or authors are of the school of thought that a polygon can't just be floating in the air. It must begin and end on the ground. So where do we begin and end it? Well, we just continue the pattern. For example, if we move to the right, 3, 8, 13, 18, these are going up by 5, 23, 28. What would the next one be? Well, if we're going by 5, 28 plus 5 is 33. So it would hit the ground at 33, more specifically 33, 0, if you want to think of it as a graphing thing in algebra. But we also have to go backwards. 28, 23, 18, 13, 8, 3. What would be over here? Well, these are going down by 5. 3 minus 5 is -2. This is why I needed the space over here. So we could plummet this, and suddenly we have our complete polygon. So if you have the histogram, you just have to connect the middles of the tops of each bar. But you can draw the polygon independent of the histogram by calculating the midpoint of each class, which is the average of its limits, and then plot the points, midpoint, frequency. Go to this number, go up that high. Go to this number, go up that high. And to top it off, go one more to the right, one more to the left, and hit the ground. Now, that's if you were doing it manually. What if you were doing it in the homework? Well, as you can probably imagine, it's a lot easier. That's been the trend. So, this is the frequency polygon problem for the histogram that we did previously. See, they were in a department store. The 72 employees in a department store, there's their frequency histogram. And now for the frequency polygon. And by the way, the reason it's called a frequency polygon, because you can do the same thing for relative frequency, and you can do the same thing for percentage. Same thing applies to bar graphs and histograms. But if you notice, they've already got the midpoints calculated for us. How convenient. And it's giving us the finger again. So we can just click on a point and drag it up. Or we can just type our frequencies. Remember the first one is where it starts on the ground, so we just have to type our frequencies from left to right. So 24, I believe was the first frequency. Tab, 23. Oh, it didn't put me in the next box. I thought it would. 23. Enter or tab. And it's drawing the polygon. Or we could just drag it up. This one was 15. So, sorry, I had to turn around. So we can click, drag it up. Hello, click, drag it up. Click, I guess I gotta touch the point down there. Drag it up to, I think it was 15. And then it was 3, 6, and 1. So click and drag up to 3, drag up to 3. Okay, I just learned something. It will only skip by certain amounts, so I cannot click and drag this to 3. To get it to 3, I'm gonna have to type 3 and hit enter. And then 6. I didn't even hit enter, I just clicked the next box. 1, I like hitting tab. And there's our polygon. That one looks just like that one, except a little cleaner. So doing the polygon on the homework is pretty easy. So let me turn this around for a second. I was going to say this is the last homework on the test. It's not. There's a homework 13. I will make videos for it, but I'll tell you right now, it's just mean, median, mode, and one more M called mid-range. I think all of you are familiar with mean, median, and mode. Median has a few issues depending on if there's one or two numbers in the middle. Mid-range is just the average of the highest and lowest values. These are real easy things to do. I'll make the videos for them, but I challenge you, I invite you to go ahead and try homework 13 as well. And then your final exam will only cover homeworks 11, the previous videos, 12, this series, and 13. When the final exam is ready, I'll let you know. Keep an eye out for the videos for homework 13. Oh, and by the way, homeworks 11, 12, and 13 are already in Connect, so you can go ahead and start them. All right, good luck.